Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. And in today's stream, I am going to be continuing working on the background for scene 3 of my teaser trailer. And everything has really been coming together rather nicely. I've been really enjoying working on this project. Now I hear the tapping of the woodpecker. You know, for the past what 4 or 5 years, there has always been like this woodpecker that'll peck at that window, and like sometimes it'll annoy me. Excuse me. Um, so I was really happy because my last Friday stream, I actually got quite a few people. And for those of you who are tuning in, I want to say thank you. Thank you for stopping by and watching. Thank you for enjoying yourselves in my stream. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everything. So let's get into it. So last stream, what I decided to do is I decided to have these different objects done on different layers. So I finished the sidewalk, and I also finished these two buildings. And I did this bench over here. It's just the layer for it is hidden right now. Next, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cluster of these buildings over here. I'll make some quick designs for them, as well as some less detailed designs for the buildings over here. After which I will then color. Well, I'll do the floating islands above, and then I'll color. I did some drawing earlier, so I actually lost the color that I was working on, but that's no issue because I can use the eyedropper tool right here, and I can select where the color is the most thickest. So I think I'll source it from right here. Yep, that'll do. Now I did the buildings and I did the bench over there. Because the plants are gonna have to likely be on their own separate layers already, what I'll probably do is I'll save these plants that you see in the foreground for last. Yeah, this is the sidewalk, so wait a second. Yeah, let me just name these layers real quick because that actually does help. Then I will select this. That can be building A. The next one, this one right here, will be building B. I don't have a name for that building yet, so I'll just leave it as is. Now I'll go over to my brush tool. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to start roughing out a shape for this building right here. I'm actually gonna have to go over and redraw this line right here because this actually came out fairly messy. And I'm not trying to be too messy with my stuff. These are just rough sketches. I'll go back and I'll add more detail. I don't know why, but like recently my voice has been getting dry, so I've been trying to drink more water. At least drink more water more often. Now, what am I gonna do for this building? Let's see here. What's a nice design? Wait a second. Let me add a new layer real quick before I do this one. Huh. Okay, so that's three buildings down and quite a few to go. Hmm, I think the next one is going to be this more rounded building up here. Now, I'll be honest, I've never successfully drawn a rounded building. Every time I've tried to draw one, it sort of like come out as wonky. So I'm gonna do this and see how it goes. Hmm. I'm actually making some good time. I'm only like 20 minutes in, and at least I feel like I'm going fairly fast. I don't know if that's a. Yeah, I'll take it as a good thing. I'll call this group Building Cluster A, because that's actually what I did with the previous backgrounds for the other scenes. Is when it came to a bunch of buildings in a small group, I ended up naming them like Builder Clustering A, Building Cluster B, different things like that. So it was just easier for me to work on it, separate them. So then when it came to like the final line art, I could just go through, do what I needed to do, and get out there. I'm also working on a sort of character I can put in the bottom left or bottom right of the screen because um, it's not a VTuber model. I don't really have a VTuber model yet. That's actually going to take me some time to do. But I decided to draw a little character so then I can have that there. And after that, and after using that art for a little while, then I can switch over to a more detailed little thing. Um, Also, I was on Amazon and I ordered a new microphone because I was looking through some of my old streams and some of my old recordings, and I noticed that my audio has gotten trash. And honestly, I want to make sure that I have some good stuff, at least some good sounding stuff for you guys, because I am growing. Like, it's slow growth, but I'm growing nonetheless. And I really loved streaming and just making videos in general for you guys. And honestly, I can only edit so much. Like, I've been using Audition for like 4 or 5 years now. I've been using Premiere Pro for like a couple years now too. But there's only so much, and that's actually something I learned that they teach you, not even in college, but just in like high school level digital media, is that you can only edit so much. So do as much as you can in the recording phase so that when it's time to edit, you don't have to do too much. And I do actually think that it may be like a settings thing in OBS. I do know that Discord Discord does in fact have, what's it called? Dang, I forgot the dang name of it. I do know that Discord has like voice compression. No, not voice compression, but it's like it's sort of like an audio filter where it only reads and takes in like actual words, but sounds in the background like loud noises, bangs, clattering, it doesn't pick it up. And I don't know if OBS has that as well. I was looking at the filters earlier in OBS, and I saw different filters like compression, noise suppression. There was something else I saw too. I forgot the name of it. But I would actually be interested in trying to look through that stuff and maybe find or do something to help my audio. Because I do, in fact, really want to present a product to you guys that is of high quality, or at the very least, like really good quality. Like, I am, in fact, trying to grow and get better at what I do. Because this is actually something I love, and I think I've definitely grown to love streaming and animation. And real talk, to be kind of honest, I thought I'd never be able to stream because, like, I made a video Okay, so this is actually something that I feel kind of ashamed of. And I've long since pirated the video, like you can't find it, but I essentially made a video about how, like, why I can't stream or why I don't stream. And I was talking about how I'm constantly being called and it's never like the right moment or time and the environment is always bad for me. And I do think that I no longer believe in what I said previously, so I just decided to private the video. And I'm not gonna act like I didn't make the video. Like my video, the video I made was actually very. It was very short sighted and it was also very hurtful. Like I was afraid of being embarrassed or like a family member would come in or they would call me and then I wouldn't be able to give something consistent to my viewers because I would be called away every 5 or 10 seconds. And so now I just don't believe that anymore. And like I do want to own my stuff. I would like to apologize to the people I hurt in that video, whether it was intentional or unintentional. It was like a very, it was very mean and short-sighted. And even though I'm young, and even though they say, "Oh, you were young, you make mistakes," like I still feel some type of way about it. Like I was really just making that video to vent. But as I grew up and as I continued to make more content, I just said, you know what, hey, I don't want my channel to be about this. I don't want to share too much about my personal feelings or like talk about folks because like that's not what this channel is about. This channel is about me doing art, doing animation, and sharing it with people enjoying what I make. Cause like, I'm just gonna be honest, but you actually see a lot of like drama channels and channels that, talk about people or critique people, especially in like the art sphere where there are digital artists or other artists that talk about like drama or things that happen. Like, I'm not gonna lie, those channels fall off or those channels get caked in their own controversy because they've been talking about folks, but they're not angels either. And like, I'm definitely not gonna name any names because I'm not trying to start anything or say anything. But like, you can just tell, like it's really seeing that and saying like, oh, like you talk about folks, but like a few days later or a few weeks later, you're getting talked about now too. Like I'm not saying like, and here's the thing, I'm not saying you can't talk about folks. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be allowed to critique people. I'm just saying that I notice a correlation between talking about folks and people later like losing their following or losing their standing. Which is kind of why I think like T channels, they're a bit more successful or sturdy because they in fact don't allow their personal feelings to, they don't share too much of their personal feelings and they don't like talk about people too much. They mostly just talk about the facts, which I mean can still hurt. Like but they don't go in like, say, drama channels do. Drama channels will talk. They will like curse you out. They will say you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that. And oh, this is nasty. This is disgusting. XYZ is a XYZ person is a predator. Are they doing this and that? And I'm like, that's just dangerous territory. Dangerous territory that I'm glad I never partook in, because I was actually close to. I was close to becoming a drama channel. Cause like I'm Gen Z. Like, I wouldn't call myself a millennial, but like I consider myself like early Gen Z, and so I was a fairly opinionated person, especially in high school. Like high school, when you feel like you don't have any power, you don't have any say, like, and I would just like binge watch drama channels, and I'm like, yeah, that's disgusting, that's horrible, like they shouldn't be doing this. And like when I started heavily getting into YouTube and making videos and streaming, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should talk about people. Maybe I should talk about like controversy and stuff like that. But like there was always something in the back of my head that said, "Hey, you may not want to do this. Hey, you may want to hold off. Hey, maybe you shouldn't do this." And I did make one video, but I ended up deleting it. I didn't even private it. I deleted it. I deleted the video. I think I was talking about blackwashing. Yeah, it was for um this is a really old video, so you may not even be able to find it, but I was talking about blackwashing and how I didn't like it. And it was up for maybe a few days. It only got like maybe 6 views, and I'm like, you know what? No, I don't agree with this, or I don't like this. Let me just delete this video, and I completely got rid of it. Cause like I just noticed this trend where people who talk about controversies, like over time, they get put on this pedestal, and it's good to get. And talking about drama and controversy is good to get views really quickly, but then in that same breath later on, something's gonna come out about you, or somebody's gonna have issue with how you said something or did something, and then they're gonna be calling for you to get canceled and for your channel to get taken down. So I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna go through with it. Like, let me just. So I just decided to say, hey, I'm just gonna be genuine to myself. I'm just gonna make these videos, and if people like them, they watch. If they don't, then no skin off my bones. And like, I'm just gonna be honest. Everyone wants subscribers. Everyone wants to, be seen, be heard, perhaps even like make a career off of their YouTube channel. Like that, there's nothing wrong with that. I genuinely believe that there's nothing wrong with wanting to be successful. People just people just get so enraptured by the idea of being successful that over time they sort of decay, I guess. That's the best terminology I can use, is that I'm not gonna say their morals are compromised. Like, not everyone's morals get compromised. It's more so like stress, depression, dependency, and there are many other factors that cause people to want and desire so much that once they reach sort of a neutral ground or a decent place, they then feel the need to reach for more or go for more and try to overcompensate so that they can live, like, not even. And that's the thing. I don't even think people who search for fame want to live the high life or want to be super rich. I genuinely think that they just want to survive, or they just want to be independent, that in their pursuit and in their search, they've lost themselves or their perception gets warped. And like me pointing this out, I'm not saying like, oh, these rich people need to give away their money, or like, oh, they need to live a more down to earth lifestyle. I'm not saying that at all. Like, I think that I believe in free will. You should be able to do whatever you want to do within reason, as long as you're not like hurting people. Like, you should be able to have free will to do whatever you want to do. I mean, like, I just notice a pattern. And that's the thing is I'm not even a really political person. I'm probably one of, if not the most apathetic person you will ever meet. Like, I can sit down and talk to anyone. Like, honestly, if Kanye West or what's his name, if Kanye West or Jake Paul or whoever, if Mr. Beast like called me up, like I would just be like the most neutral person. Cause like I don't feel like I have any right to tell somebody how to live or what they should do or what ideology someone should have. Like honestly, this is just life, and we all have to survive in different ways. What I do, yes, you may laugh. That pun was not intended, but go ahead and laugh. Is I notice things, and I mainly just try to say it's like I notice patterns, and then I desire to provoke thought in people. And like that's just how I've been my entire life. Like I'll never tell somebody how to live or what's right and wrong. Because honestly, we've all done terrible or questionable things, and we all have skeletons in our closet. Whether you believe it or not, like there is something that has happened to you or something that you've done that you don't want to tell anybody. And it can be like something serious, or it can just be like something high school schoolyard where you like pushed a kid off a slide, or you did something weird like that. Like we all have little things that we're not gonna tell anybody. And honestly, I think that's what makes us human, or that's what makes us not just human but relatable and have the ability to empathize with each other is the fact that there are things we do not desire to tell people. There are things we wish to keep hidden, that we have so much shame that we just want to forget about it. And like that's okay. Like that's okay to have regrets or not like your past self and want to have a better life. Like that is what makes you human, and that's what I think is one of the most beautiful things about people is the want and desire to do better and be better. And of course, you're gonna fail, or you're going to come short, or something's gonna happen to where you backtrack, but there's always the chance and there's always the option to try again. And that's honestly, genuinely beautiful. Like, I honestly think that everyone has the capacity for good, that there are still good people in this world. Everyone has the right to succeed, or at the very least, try at success. Because I think nowadays it's like it's so hard for some people. It's so hard for people to find a job, make money, survive, take care of their family. Like honestly, I just genuinely want people to succeed and be happy. Like I want happiness for everybody, not just myself. Like honestly, this world is beautiful. Like I think everyone should be able to tell a story. Everyone should be able to tell their story. Like their and I do believe that there are ways for everyone to be happy. Like it's astronomical. It's going to be hard to do. Like some people's happiness may come at the expense of others, but I do believe that there is a way for everyone to be at the very least satisfied. And honestly, I do think that one of my later goals in life, I definitely don't have anything planned right now. Honestly, I've been focusing on building up my animations, getting better at animation and stuff like that. But definitely later in my life, I would honestly love to like make like a website or a nonprofit organization where I can help like the unemployed and the homeless find work and find jobs and like just survive. That would be awesome. That would be amazing. Because what's sad is you do have these companies and these organizations where they'll just give homeless people like a sandwich or something like that. And I'm like, dude, for real? Like, you're just giving this person a sandwich, and then like people stay in shelters, and it's just really horrible and sad. Like this world can be so much more beautiful and amazing if things were to just change. And I think that's why I fell in love with science fantasy in general and the blending of magic and science, because with cyberpunk has the theme of anti-capitalism and fighting against companies and stuff like that and being counterculture. And then you have high fantasy, where fantasy is about escapism and like the hero's journey and developing as a person. Whereas I think the potential of a science fantasy and science fantasy as a storytelling medium is really about potential, because it is both grounded and yet whimsical or enchanting at the same time. So you have the magic that is seen in fantasy, but you also have the technological advancement of sci fi. So it's really this blend of two things, advancement and progress, with escapism and finding true power. to where you have a story and you have the potential to tell a story where it's not about fighting some oppressor or trying to be the very best or trying to forget your past and enjoy your new life. It's more so, at least I believe, that science fantasy is could more so be about what can be done, what one can aspire to, what we as people can work towards and potentially do or become. That is the beauty of science fantasy, and that is an amazing story that I would love to tell. Okay, I think that is it. Possibly, maybe. I'm going to. Wait a minute. No, I better not. Just getting another drink of water. Don't mind me. I'm just looking at this and I'm seeing what I can work on next. what I can do next. Okay, I think what's next for me is. So I'll probably make less detailed buildings, and this will be like building cluster C, and then I'll have an even less detailed building right here. Then after that, for these two buildings, well, yeah, this building, that building, and that building right there, there'll probably be some kind of gray. This building right here too. And then for this cluster back here, they're gonna be like black or a few shades from black. So that's building cluster B. So I'm going to press shift, select all of them, control G to group them. Okay, time for the next building. Okay, those buildings are done. I'm gonna take a sip of more water. Then I'm gonna get started on the next set of buildings. Actually, let me group these first. Let's see here. I'm probably just gonna do like the first set of buildings, and then I'm gonna do these floating islands and buildings because I've been really excited to just work on those because that's a nice, fun little thing I decided to add. Like, can you think about it? Like, I've been honestly meditating and like writing on this for a while, but like, if magic were real, people would definitely make like floating buildings. Like I also got like the mechanisms and everything. Like because the ground is saturated in magic, the buildings fly on their own. And so, not every chunk of land is going to float perfectly intact. Like there are going to be pieces that break away from each other in the initial rupture. And so these big chunks that have sort of broken away, people put buildings on them to sort of have their own private land and sort of pseudo private airspace. And so, how people get up to these buildings is they use teleportation circles. Like the company will rent out a plot for like secure access. So then they can use magic, create the teleportation circles, and then employees can get in and out of their building. And so I just imagine like a world with automated magic. Like you're gonna have people who, yes, there are gonna exist those, geeks or people who are like were into high fantasy before magic was a thing, to where they'll say, we have magic now. That means we can have brooms and magic brooms. And like there's gonna be like this history about how brooms were essentially made by nerds that just loved magic so much that they wanted to make actual flying brooms. And then you have more utilitarian and what's the word? Not mechanical, but more automized companies like car manufacturers and dealers who said, you know what, magic exists. Why don't we make a new line of like rechargeable cars that use magic in their engines or make cars that can fly and float, and that's its own market as well. You'll also have designers that weave magic into clothing, and there will be like glowing pieces of clothing or pieces of or articles that billow in the wind and sort of do their own thing. Because magic exists, there's also like exotic pets. Like it's normal for someone to have a pet bear or like a pet tiger because they just use magic to tame it or control it. Different things like that, different things that I sort of like to brainstorm. Let me take my glasses off. My glasses are getting a bit foggy. I want to wipe them down so I can see properly. I had to take off my headphones, with my glasses on. I'm sorry about that. If you heard like any crashes or loud noises. What was I talking about? Other things and other world building things. So because magic exists in this world and because everyone can use magic, essentially child rearing is child rearing a child and like raising a baby is sort of more difficult now because babies don't know how to control their magic. So if they're upset or cranky, then their magic can surge. You essentially have a being that isn't conscious yet who just wants something or who is feeling pain and they don't really know how to respond or react to it. So there's this feedback loop where their magic will surge and there'll be like lightning or fire or like energy that comes around the baby or it's like surging from it. So, what parents have learned to do in this case is to sort of absorb their baby's magic. Like whenever their child is throwing a tantrum, like they'll either make a defensive spell or they'll be able to ground their child's magic to where it just harmlessly gets like reabsorbed into the earth. And you actually see this where even the public has sort of adapted for this to where if there are multiple where if there are emotional upsurges and people who are sort of like losing themselves or can't regulate their magic, like there will be um, lamp lights and telephone poles that will sort of act like conductors where they will draw the magic out of someone who is sort of having a temper tantrum. And this isn't like a forced thing where people will get hurt from it. It's more so like it's like lightning when it strikes a tree. It's just trying to get to the ground and ground itself. That's essentially what's happening. And I will also say that there is a difference between projecting magic and casting actual spells. So, like, if you're emotional, upset, and you're just causing your energy to just go out there, then of course that's going to be grounded and absorbed by like the around that by the surrounding area. But if you're actually crafting a spell, like let's say an enchantment where you want to enchant or imbue something with your magic, or some sort of uh, I can't really think of exact examples at the moment, but more so what'll happen is spells, actual tailored, um, well thought out spells, won't in fact get absorbed by these grounding machines. More so what'll happen is the spell will just go off. So it's not like it's this dark future where no one can use magic even though they got it. It's like everyone can use magic. It's just the world has sort of adapted to account for what may or may not happen. And you actually do have certain warded areas in the world where people can't use magic or it's difficult for them to weave magic. Essentially, what'll happen is sort of that place's security. They'll use different magic and there are different spells to do, but there is like a like a safety committee or our real life, like the real life fire department with like their fire codes where they will set up to where this is how to safely ward an area from magic usage. And essentially, what warding magic does is it prevents people from weaving the ambient magic in an area. Like, it doesn't sap people of their magic, it doesn't cause magic to become inert or take people's magic away from them. Like, magic is a fundamental force of the universe. So it's not like that can be now taken away from someone and they can't do it anymore. Magic isn't really taken away in this world. It's just made to where you can't weave it. Like, all of the magic is being cycled and used to maintain a specific ward. And I'll be honest, I do in fact have to work out a few of the kinks to make it more make it make sense. And I am afraid that if I use too many analogies, then that will weaken the magic system of this world, because I think one of the worst things a writer or like a lore master can do is make too many analogies, because, at least in my personal opinion, that means that you don't have a strong enough understanding or scope of your world without having to compare it to other works. And even though by all means it's okay to draw inspiration, you don't want to have to consistently and repeatedly compare your work to others, because that can have bad connotations. Like, people can call you a copy paster or a, what's the word? What's the word? I forgot the word. People can call you like a copy paster or someone who copyrights other works. And you don't want that. So I will definitely take the time to better describe what I'm going for, because that will do me some good in the long run. Because I'm gonna be honest, and I may sound a little shady for saying this, but I don't want my show to be a live action Avatar. Okay, I'm trying to avoid that. Like, you got an army, like you got an army of Earthbenders that do this whole entire dance number just to lift one small rock. Like, like that's horrible. Or you have like firebenders that need fire in order to use their bending. Like, that's. I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to give people a spectacle that they'll actually like and want to learn and explore more of. I mean, hey, this might even be a D&D setting. Like, honestly, that would be kind of cool. Like a D&D or a Shadowrun setting where like players can play in this world I made. Like, that would be nice. Like, that would actually be a dream come true if, like, after the first season or after 2 seasons people say, hey, this is really good, I would love to play in a world like this, then I can just like make a Shadowrun setting or make an entirely original TTRPG. Like, that would be pretty awesome. I would love to do something like that. And it can be so exciting. I'm definitely thinking about rewatching Edge Runners. Rewatching Edge Runners, rewatching Code Lyoko, I guess. And I'll probably look at something else. Oh, speaking of shows, like, the world takes place, I want to say, 2000 is definitely, no, 2000, the year 2000, in which it's 13, is when the cascade happens. It happens July 1st, 2000, where the cascade happens, meteors fall, and sort of magic returns to the world. Um, Before 2000, like a couple, I want to say about a year or two before the year 2000, was when scientists discovered that this apocalyptic event was going to happen. And so essentially, what happened with that is the world entered a state of emergency in which it consolidated all of the power into the United Nations. And the United Nations commandeered the military, scientific powers of every single country, their resources and all. They also commandeered many companies and corporations that were privately owned, essentially to try and find different ways and methods of securing the safety of humanity and as many plants and animals as they possibly could. Um, and multiple different solutions were made. There were attempts to create space stations and sort of shuttles. There were attempts to create underground bunkers, undersea bunkers, and labs. They also tried making like literal arcs like Noah did. um, and actually, this project is called Project Noah. Like many, and I actually sort of decided to call it Project Noah because I wanted to be different. Like many of these stories where the apocalypse happens, they call it Project Ark, or they call something the Ark. So I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna call this thing like Project Open or the Noah. I mean Project Noah or the Noah campaign. Like that would be kind of cool. So anyway, after these many different methods were crafted and created, about in the ensuing months before the first meteor fall, that was when people started shifting over to their assigned bases. Like, not everyone could get what they wanted to get. Some people wanted to leave Earth, and so and so those folks were able to sign in advance. Other people wanted to be put with their families, so it was like this sort of case scenario where a few families were separated from each other, which is kind of sad. Um, but essentially, in these few months before the first meteor hit, was the sort of great sealing or the great immigration, where people moved to their assigned areas to live out and wait. And so, even during that, there were in fact some people that decided, you know what, we're all dead, we might as well accept it, so we're gonna party. And that's what people did. Like they partied, they threw massive parties and had alcohol, beer, different things like that. Like they knew they were going to go out. They said, you know what, this is how I want to go out, and let's just enjoy ourselves until whatever happens, happens. And so after the meteor fall, after January 1st, when the cascade happened, those who were in bunkers, they were relatively safe. Those who were out of the bunkers, like, many of them, I'm not going to say many died, but there were quite a number of them that died just straight from the impact and the heat and different things like that. Um, it was about 50 years. Man, I really should have like timed and thought this out more. But it was like roughly 50 years between the immigration and them coming out of the immigration, and in that 50-year time span, in that 50-year time span, like there were some concurrent events happening with like filtration errors in many of the bunkers and places people were housed at, to where air was getting inside, and this air that was this toxic air was actually the magic particle, the ethos. And essentially, you have a people who you have a people in a world that never had magic, and so this magical particle gets inside of people, so now their body has to adapt to it, and their body is growing and evolving from it. And so it's called the year sickness, because the sickness lasted a year. Like it was hot flashes, fever, bouts of unconsciousness, and panic attacks. There were also a few instances of having visions or having episodes, and it was actually fairly violent. Though oddly enough, no one really died from this sickness, and nobody really died from stress. It was just pretty much hell on earth for people. And after this year, that was when people started noticing, like, hey, I'm different now. Like, I have better eyesight, or I'm stronger, or I can lift 1,000 pounds, or XYZ doesn't hurt me. And while this sickness is happening on the outside in the cascade, we have the years of flame and the years of chaos, which is an semi undeterminate amount of time where from the initial impact of the cascade, it caused essentially scorched earth. Like the planet was on fire. People were freaking out. People were getting hurt. Some people died. Uh, Exposure to this magical element actually caused people to mutate and change into like different fantasy races, like elves, beastmen, orcs, different things like that. And I'll actually be drawing inspiration not just from Eastern folklore, but I also want to draw inspiration from like um, places like Japan and China and Africa and different fantasy races and creatures from there as well. Um, what was I talking about? Like the years of flame and chaos, and essentially in those years, sort of new monarchy and new leadership came about. Where after everything settled, that was when the dang, I forgot the proper name of it. The that was when the I found it. That's when the revitalization happened. And in this revitalization, the earth became renewed. Uh, Forests came back. The desert actually shrunk quite a bit. The Sahara Desert and the Gobi Desert shrunk quite a bit. The polar ice caps refroze and actually almost overfroze, where they have like more territory and stuff like that. Trees got very much larger. Some animals grew, got larger as well. Some even more violent, or and some of them did grew more docile as well. It's a case by case scenario. So you had like animals with like bigger fangs, bigger bodies. Some of the deer actually they started growing like these crystals out of their backs, which is kind of cool, and I can't wait to draw and detail it. We have instances as well of like new sort of like royal families or leadership where you will have like people who have become elves. They like become more attuned with the forest and they sort of have their own royalty. You have orcs having their tribes, different things like that. What else? What else? What else? We have different things. Essentially, just the world has changed, and these people who decided to stay behind, they've sort of adapted into their new forms as well. And so after that, after things somewhat settled and they were able to salvage and recreate some of their technology with the use of magic, was when they got into contact with the people in the bunkers and people in space stations and people underwater. They said, hey, everything is, they were able to send signals where they said, hey, everything is clear, everything is safe and okay. Like, you guys can come back, the earth is fine. And you know, you do in fact have some people that didn't quite believe it, and they decided to stay in their bunkers a bit longer, but others they decided to take the word, come out, and that was when the people of the past were met with the fantastical new earth that was put before them. And so now, with the aid of science and magic, they've sort of been able to recreate what was lost. Now, you do have those people that didn't quite believe the stories or the tales that, hey, the earth is fine. And those people actually became like other fantasy races. Like the people who decided to stay in the bunkers, their their exposure to that subterranean magic caused them to shrink and they became like dwarves and gnomes. You have people who lived underwater in like bases and labs. They turned into fishmen and fish people. Different things like that. And obviously, there was also some like fear, sadness, concern, like, oh my gosh, I'm a wolf person now, like, I'm a freak, different things like that, to where it was quite sad for some people for a while. Like, they definitely suffered some body dysmorphia to where they were horrified and shocked by their new state of being. There were also some people who actually took to sexualizing many of these fantasy races to where, oh, we got like hot elves now, or like, oh, we have like cat girls. Okay, I can work with this. And again, this is not gonna be like a show for kids. Like, I'm definitely going for something more serious and grounded. Okay, I'm just working on this floating building right now. Okay, that's the first floating island done. Now I have uh, two more to do. Well, actually, no. I'm probably gonna put. No, I'm gonna make those separate layers because that would actually be cooler if I drew them separately. That would be really nice, actually. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. My aunt texted me the other day. I asked her how she was doing, and she just responded, "Oh, I'm doing fine. I love you and your mom." But that's nice. Like honestly, I do think that sometimes I do think that I forget that I do have family that supports me and loves me. Like I know that sounds cringe or whatever, or that sounds like I'm patting myself on the back, but like for a while, I bit my tongue. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this. I'll take that as a sign. I should just drop the subject. I mean, like that's what I do. Like if I like bite my tongue or if like I burn my hand, like that's just a sign that I should stop talking and I should just enjoy things for what it's worth. Speaking of enjoying things for what it's worth, the other day, like over the weekend, I made a jack o' lantern, and it's so nice because I've always wanted to make one since I was a kid. I just never did. I felt like I could never make one, and so in college, that was when I first made a jack o' lantern. What was it? Dang, think. Yeah, like my dorm had this special event where students could pick out pumpkins and carve them. And I carved jack o' lantern, and I had that thing like outside of my dorm. Like I couldn't, I, it was a dorm, so I couldn't buy candles for it. So I just like had it outside my dorm for people to like pass by and look at. And it was really nice. It was really nice to have, and it was really nice to do. Um, I even kept it for like a day or two after Halloween, and then I just threw it away. And because that's what you're supposed to do. Like you're not supposed to keep them forever. You can't keep them forever. Even if you want to, you can't keep them forever. And it was fun. It was a really nice experience to make a jack o' lantern. So when Halloween rolled around, I made another one. And that was nice. That was pretty cool too. Hmm. Okay, so that floating island is done. Allow me to work on the next one. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm actually going to play with the opacity, and I'm going to lower the opacity of this island, and then I'm gonna go to the layer behind it, and I'm going to start sketching out this island right here. And this island is definitely coming along nicely. You know what? After this stream, I'm gonna have to wash some dishes. I'll probably enjoy like a cup of coffee while I wash the dishes. That'll be nice. Okay, that's done. And this other one's done. Now I just need to do the free floating islands, the free floating buildings. And then I think I will call this, and then I'll call this stream to a close. And then I'll probably do the final line art off stream. And then I'll come back and color on stream, which will be nice. A nice thing to do. And yeah, I'll just take a moment to say that honestly, this project is coming along nicely, and I have really enjoyed working on this. And I've also just really enjoyed talking with you guys. Like, this has been nice, this has been fun, and I've just really loved this. Um, and yeah, this world, this show has been very fun to make, work on, write for, design. I really liked it. I really enjoyed working on this and doing this. This is something I'm definitely passionate about. And like, why wait? Like, why wait to get accepted by a company? Why wait till I'm like what in my 30s? Why not just go for it now? I mean, hey, look at Vipsy Pop. Like she did Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel when she was I think 26 or 28. And there are also many other great and amazing animators on YouTube who are making such amazing shows and different shorts. Like you have Cyanide and Happiness, you have Meat Canyon. Like I love Meat Canyon's videos. He's an amazing animator. You have The Odd Ones Out. He's a success story. You have Jaden Animation. She's pretty cool. Like, you have many animators on YouTube who are doing such amazing things. And, like, even if they use stills, like, even if, like, their animations are just stills, it's still animation. And they're still making people laugh and smile and enjoy themselves. Like, honestly, that's awesome and that's amazing. Like, I have mad respect for every animator on YouTube. It's quite awesome. And even though it is hard sometimes, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna try and present some false self. Like this is hard. Like animate, like drawing everything by hand, drawing all the backgrounds by myself. Like this is this is hard. And sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I want to quit or like I want to find a job so I can, I guess, stop. And that's kind of horrible. It's kind of horrible that I've been feeling like this or thinking like this. Like, this is my dream. And of course, like, I can animate for hours. Like, don't get me wrong. I could honestly stream for hours, keep my stream on and open for hours. I just don't because, I want to be courteous. And I don't want to take away you guys' time because you guys definitely have stuff to do. Like, you guys can't be sitting here watching me for hours on end. That's not fair to you guys. So I decided the more shorter stream format because it's more so like just take like an hour or two out of my day to give you guys a progress report, see how I'm doing, what I'm doing, see my progress on everything. And then like you guys can be off on your merry way. And like obviously, if I do get like what are they called? Dang, I'm blanking. If I do get like reviews or people saying, "Hey, we want the streams to be longer," or "Hey, we want you to stream at a different time," then of course I would oblige. Like honestly, I would, and I do in fact stream around lunchtime. Like honestly, I do think that like an 11:30, 12 o'clock stream is really good because that's where you have people who are on their lunch break and they just want to chill and relax. Like it's not someone who is just getting off of work or someone who is doing whatever. No, like noon is a good time for me because I'm just chilling, talking to folks, talking to people who just want to take a minute, take a breath, take a break, and just enjoy themselves, and enjoy something, have some kind of stimulation. Like that's pretty nice. That's pretty cool. Okay, time for the next building. Let's see here. Uh, Dang, I forgot. Didn't go through. Let me work on this building right here. I'm actually going to lower my brush size to about, I think 5 is decent enough, good enough. For a second there, I thought Photoshop crashed. That would have been horrible for me. Oh, it looks like I may hit my 2 hour mark. That's fine. That's nice. That's amazing. Like honestly, I haven't gone for 2 hours. I mean, I do kind of feel like I should go longer because I started late. And honestly, I am kind of sorry for starting late. Uh, I had a meeting to go to. It was like over. It was a Zoom meeting. Yeah, can't talk. It was a Zoom meeting that I was attending, like travel agent training, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to follow through with that job. Like honestly, nothing against travel agents. It's just what turned me off to them was the fact that they were asking me to pay in order to use their services, and that was a bit of a red flag to me. So then I'm like, no, I better not. It almost felt like I hate to say it, but it felt kind of MLM-y. So I'm like, you know what? No, maybe I shouldn't do this. And I just, like, of course, I was going to be cordial and join the meeting because I already set up to join it. Like, I'll be respectful. But as far as that job, maybe not. Like, I can't afford to spend money just to get a job. Like if it's a job that's down the street and because I don't have a car, of course I'll spend like the $8 or $11 to pay for Uber, get there and get back home. Or like get there, take a bus back home and walk. But like you're charging someone a flat fee to set up an account and join and pay, like that can be pretty taxing and pretty expensive that sadly I'm not willing to pay. And it's kind of sad, but I do think that I have been getting more success recently. Like more jobs have been coming through to me. I at least got maybe three callbacks, and I have another meeting set up for Monday, which is kind of nice, kind of cool. I mean, my dad was right. I just had to be patient. And honestly, patience is one of my vices. Like, I just have that fear of failure and fear of the future to where I can't be patient because then it like rolls around in my head and I just constantly think about it. But honestly, I do think I am getting better at that. So yeah, I finished the buildings. Actually, let me reveal them so you guys aren't left wondering. So I drew the. Dang it, these other buildings are hidden. Okay, from the top, I drew the buildings. I drew the floating islands and land masses. Now all I need to do is I'm going to go back over it, add some finer line art, And I also need to do these plants and this decor in the foreground. And after that, I will be done with this background, and then I can just put it into my animation, composite it, do what I need to do to make it look, good, fresh, tight, whatever you want to call it. And then I will be done with scene 3. And this has been so nice. This has been very fun to work on and do. Honestly, I've loved it. I've loved working on this project. I do still think that this may be done in either late November or sometime in December. It'd be kind of ironic if I got done by December 12th, but anyway, as Friday goes, I stream on Tuesdays and Fridays around noon. I try to start my stream around 11:30, but I didn't get the chance to today because I had a meeting, and things just sort of like slowed me down then. But it's all good. It's all right. Usually just tune in with me around, just check on my page around 11:30. I should be streaming by then. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share even if you want to. It's always an option. It's always a choice. Though I would really like it. Anyway, yeah. This has been Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. I'll see you guys in my next video or stream.